So how about them Cap? Let me try it again. So how about them Cowboys? I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Fuck Dallas. Kyle Gaffner is here. James Worthington as well. I'm Adrian Fedq. How about them? Yeah.
No.
I'm with you. I don't even want to say it, but you got to give these guys props. They've been playing incredible football with these two rookies back there. I mean, to go in there into Lambeau and do what they did to Aaron Rodgers, I mean, not only the offense, but the defense. You got the best rushing defense going against the best rushing offense, and somebody had to win, and they devoured them. They just ran all over them.
Yeah, it wasn't even close, man. I mean, you see the style behind me. I'm a huge Eagles fan. Say it every week. We all are. Hate to say it, man, but Dallas is legit, and they're here to stay. You know, they're not going anywhere. They're not going to fade. The only hope for us is if Tony Romo gets put back in the lineup.
Oh, I hope they do. Oh, please. But we'll get to that topic in a bit. I mean, they run for 191 yards yesterday, and Green Bay comes in only allowing 171 in the whole year. So, incredible rushing performance by Dallas. That offensive line just manhandles Green Bay. So we'll get to them in a bit. We're going to get right into our power rankings. So we'll start with New England because Minnesota's on a bye, and I know that's your guys' number one. So we'll start with New England. Tom Brady, outstanding. Second game, 29 of 35, 376 yards, 3 touchdowns against Cincinnati. It wasn't Cleveland this week. A little bit better competition, and he still kills it.
Yeah, he really did. It was close there for a while. The Bengals defense had him contained, but then the second half he just blew it open. He did the typical Tommy magic out there. Connected with Gronk real well. He had one of his best games of his career. It looks like Tommy is back. No slowing down. He's laser. He's laser out there on the field. Great connections. They're going back to the Super Bowl. We all know it.
I mean, it looks like it, man. If I had put my money on an AFC team, it would be New England. Gronk career high in reception yards. Edelman wasn't heavily involved. He was still heavily targeted. Martellus Bennett, he had 5 catches for like 40 yards. Decent production from the tight end, too. And James White, man, I mean, 2 touchdowns. I think he had like 60 total yards. I mean, he with Brady it back in, man, he looks like he's a weapon to be aware of. So it'll be interesting to see how they deploy him and Dion Lewis when he comes back. I don't know if Lewis will take all the playing time with how good White's been with Brady. So, yeah, I mean, dude, the Patriots, real deal.
Yeah. Gronkowski, 7 receptions, 162 yards, and a touchdown. So, obviously, he was really good as well. So let's talk about this a little bit because the AFC kind of stinks. Top heavy, there's nothing really there, and we'll talk about the Steelers. I guess we'll talk about this in a bit. But now with Big Ben's injury, who knows how that's going to shape the AFC? Because like the Steelers to me were like the only really other team that can possibly challenge New England. New England, it almost seems like they have a bye right to the Super Bowl right now.
It does, and this is a huge blow to Pittsburgh. Losing Big Ben again, it seems like every year we hear him going out with another injury, and I don't know how long he's going to be out with this one. They're going to have Landry Jones come in. If he can kind of maintain that and get them to where they can make a playoff berth. But it looks like they are just going to walk right into the playoffs, have a first-round bye, and then just walk right into the Super Bowl because it is. There's no real heavy talent over in the AFC, and it used to be a really loaded conference, but now, it's turned over to the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it like this. I mean, Pittsburgh's obviously going to get Big Ben back, but their defense is a huge question mark. Denver's got the defense. Do they have the quarterback? Didn't look like it last week. And then you go to the AFC South, and it's like it's not even worth talking about. So Patriots' biggest competition right now looks like it's Buffalo in their own division with how good they've been playing.
Yeah, I'll throw another team out there because heading into the season, I didn't have Pittsburgh and New England. I actually had New England playing Kansas City in the championship game. So I think Kansas City, maybe, like they go 11-5, and no one's going to challenge New England. But that I think they might be, second best team of the AFC. I know they're 3-2, but by the end of the year, we'll see how everything plays itself out. Pittsburgh, though, I don't know the extent of this Big Ben injury so far. I don't know if any details have been released yet. He's getting microfracture surgery, I believe. So who knows how long he'll be out. But, the AFC is just – it's lacking. There's nothing really there. So now let's move on to your guys' number one team, Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, the Purple People Eaters of our era, I'd like to say. They had a bye this week, so they get to rest up. They've had a couple injuries as of late coming down, so this gives them time to kind of revamp, kind of game plan. But, it's going to be an exciting game this week when they come back and they play the Eagles. This is going to be awesome. It'll be a real test for the young kid. And then Sammy's coming back down to the link. Let's see if good old Gang Green can come out and give him a warm welcome, as long with the fans. But they got the defense, they've got the offense. This is, he's been acclimated better with the playbook with North Turner, so it's going to be a fun game to watch.
It'll definitely be a good game. I'm going to be there, so I'm one of the lucky ones who gets to boo Bradford as an Eagles fan. That's what we do to players that come back to the link. So I think his defense, they really do feed off the crowd. I know Wentz does. I've seen it. So I actually think the Eagles have a really good shot to win. Call me biased, but we'll see. But, yeah, Minnesota's my number one team. They're undefeated, the only one in the NFL. They have the NFL's best defense. Bradford's been playing great. You can't deny that. But it's going to be interesting. They don't have much of a running game. I'm not selling Stephon Diggs as a legit wide receiver one, so progress a little bit. But Minnesota will be in the playoffs. They'll probably win that division. It'll be a good game on Sunday.
Yeah, you know what? I'm calling it right now. All right. We're beating the Vikings. It's happening. Okay? It's happening.
I like it.
Just say it. Dude, here's the thing. Like, a big reason why they lost yesterday, the Eagles, obviously the Big V situation. All right. But on the defensive side of the ball, when the Eagles can't pressure the quarterback, their secondary is exposed. And the Redskins have a top 5 offensive line league. Trent Williams, Morgan Moses, these guys, they're really good tackles out there. So I think this week, I think they'll be able to pressure the Vikings a little bit. I think they'll be able to, kind of have their way a little bit more. Obviously, the problem is going to be how the Eagles are going to move the ball offensively. But I think it feels like the Eagles are a different team at home, at least this year right now. Obviously, they routed the Steelers. And to be honest with you, I know the Steelers are 3-2, but or are they 4-2? They have 2 losses. But I think the Steelers are better than the Vikings, to be honest with you. The Vikings, who have they really beaten? They beat the Packers in week 2, and now all of a sudden the Packers don't look like shit.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
No, go ahead. Good.
Yeah, that's a legitimate point. Honestly, on the neutral field, I would take the Steelers. I just believe in their offense more. But what wins championships, it seems like the past couple of years, has been defense. So if the defense can stay true to its form and keep playing what they have, they're going to be there. But the thing is, we've never seen Minnesota's defense this good. So it's can they keep it up? They have their head coach is a defensive guy. They have talent across the board, young talent, which is scary. But, with youth comes inconsistency. So we'll see.
Now, another point. Okay, go ahead, Carl.
No, I was going to touch on that. You definitely ride the defense, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of pressure on Sam Bradford. They haven't really played anybody, but if that defense starts to lack a little bit, and we've seen this with other teams such as the Cardinals, if they start to give up points, is he going to be able to rally? Because they've been ahead in every game except, I think, for week 1, where their defense came back and scored 2 touchdowns. But other than that, they've been ahead.
Bradford's going to choke on Sunday. That's another topic. But another point. All right. You know how the Eagles, they look like shit coming out of the bye? They lost all that momentum? Guess who's coming off a bye? Minnesota. Guess who's coming off a bye in 2 weeks? Dallas. So back-to-back weeks, the Eagles might have themselves a little bit of an opportunity. We shall see. I am not – since when did Minnesota become a juggernaut? I don't understand this. Sure, they're 5-0. They look really good. But I don't I know they're high up in the rankings right now, but like I don't know. At the end of the day, playoff time. Fucking Sam Bradford gonna lead you to a victory? Get the fuck out of here.
He could if they ride that defense, and I'm a firm believer defense wins championships every single time.
But I don't know.
The playoffs last year, they were right there at Seattle, man. I mean, that was a hell of a game,
Yeah, it was. Blair Walsh, if he didn't shank that freaking easy chip shot, they would have been right there.
Yeah. And just touching on the Eagles real quick, the thing that's concerning me about them is they played this week. They got played man coverage a lot, and it was basically any receivers beat our corners, and it didn't look like it against Washington. So Minnesota, they have Xavier Rhodes and Trey Waynes in there, I think, right, who's a pretty high draft pick. We're going to have to see if our receivers can beat them. I want to see more from Ertz through the middle on the linebackers. And another thing, I agree with Adrian. I think that we'll get a better pass rush this week. Washington's got two hell of good tackles, so I think we'll do better defensively.
And they've got weaker tackles there because they got a young and inexperienced T.J. Clemens, and then Andre Smith is more of a run blocking tackle than a pass blocking tackle.
They got Matt Khalil, right?
Yeah, he's out.
Oh, that's right. Oh, okay. We're good. We're definitely gonna pressure. Yeah. Good luck, Minnesota. So I don't know. I this is just the way this Eagles team seems to be. It's just like everyone's fucking counting them out right now. I think it's kind of hilarious. So they got a lot to prove, and I don't know. I just got a gut feeling. Yeah, it's a lot of bias, I guess, but whatever.
I think their backs against the wall. Look what they did against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they need to win this game, like straight up. It's not getting any easier right now. So, yeah. Big V talk, just real quick before we move on, because I want to get James' thoughts because he's a former offensive lineman. So, all right, what did you see from Big V yesterday? In terms of technique?
I played 12 years of football up in the varsity level in high school. No college, but I know how to block. Basic blocking. You got to have quick feet. That's important, especially at the NFL level. And you need to have a wide base. What I saw out of Big V was low feet, especially off the snap count, and his base was narrow, which is why you see him just get driven back by Ryan Kerrigan. He was basically on ice skates. When you have a narrow base, you have no power. And when you have no power, obviously the defender is going to be lower 90% of the time anyway because Big V's starting up in a 2-point stance. So he needed to have that wide base to be able to push him back. And Kerrigan just dominated him because he didn't.
And he also couldn't get underneath him.
It was discouraging to see. And I'm surprised we started him like that when he's playing like that. So, I mean, I guess Doug Peterson and Frank Reich saw something different. But to me, at halftime, I would have made the move to Barber and brought in Wisniewski.
Yeah. Kyle, you have comments?
I kind of agree with you there. I don't know why they didn't make the adjustment. They kind of did a little bit in the second half, but you have a very good pass rusher in Kerrigan. And they just left him over there on the side that whole time. Why wouldn't you have Selleck in there? We had talked about this earlier in the pregame show that Ertz isn't really much of a blocker. He kind of reminds me of Jimmy Graham. He's more of a pass catcher out there. Selleck's a great blocker. Put him out there and help the young kid out. Yeah, you want to build his confidence, but you're hurting the team. It's about winning. It's you got to put your pride down a little bit and help the kid out because what was it? 2 minutes into the game, he had 2.5 sacks right off the bat, and then you chip him with a little back and Sproles. That's not going to get it done, and you're really putting your franchise quarterback at risk at that point too.
Exactly. I mean, I saw Ertz get dominated one play, and keeping Sproles in there, like you said, to chip the guy, that's not going to do anything. Selleck is almost like an extra offensive lineman. He's getting older. His main skill right now is blocking. Why you don't keep him in there every play to help out the young kid, get his confidence up, it's beyond me.
Yeah, and that's what was disconcerting. Listening to Doug Peterson this morning on the WIP Morning Show, he was saying that he did everything he could do to help out Big V, and that's bullshit. Brent Selleck saw 25% of the snaps yesterday, 13 total. That's awful. Are you kidding me? He should be out there helping double team every single fucking play. So that, and that's the thing too, though, about this is I said this yesterday. But now, if you're going to be having guys in the block, all of a sudden your tight ends and running backs, which are huge weapons in the passing game, all of a sudden that hinders that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, what can help them too is Washington, even though we fell down early, we had that special teams touchdown, the defensive touchdown. Washington's one of the worst, if not the worst, rushing defense in the league. Keep running the football. I'm not a big fan of Matthews. I liked what I saw at Smallwood again, even though it was in limited action. Keep running the football. I mean, don't give it up and make it easier on Wentz too. So it's just I'm just ready to push this game aside, get ready for Minnesota, and I'm hoping we see a different team, more like weeks 1 through 3.
Yeah, Doug's got to step it up. He's just straight up. He has to get him more help. And it's hard for me to imagine that it's going to be as bad as it was. You got to think that there will be at least slight improvements. It's not going to be like terrible. But here's the thing, though. You're going up against a ferocious front seven. You got Everson Griffin. At least he's on the other side. But Brian Robinson, Daniel Hunter, and if you guys don't know who Daniel Hunter is, he's like a pass rush specialist. He's like our Vinny Curry. So I'm really scared of Daniel Hunter coming in this game. We'll see how they handle him. So, all right, let's move on because we got stuck on the Eagles. Yeah, so
frustrating.
Yeah, so oh shit, we're only number 2 in our power rankings right now. Well, I got Minnesota, and you guys got New England, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So number 3, Seattle. Let's talk about this game yesterday because Seattle probably wouldn't be number 3 if they called that pass interference penalty. Oh man, so Seattle, they like to play physical. They commit a lot of penalties, and one of the main reasons why they do this is so late in games when there's a call like that, the officials are going to keep their whistles tucked in because, well, you don't really make calls late in games. But that play, that was a pass interference. That was blatant. It should have been called.
It should have been called. I mean, you can see Julio Jones' hips get physically turned and his arm getting pulled down, as blatant as you can see. And I don't know how the refs misses. And, yeah, you don't want to have the game end like that, but it's like, come on, man. I mean, the guy is reaching up for it, and he's turned, and he's being pulled down. It's absolutely ridiculous. Be consistent with these calls. If you're going to be calling this BS throughout the whole game, you got to keep it consistent, especially on that. And I do understand. I like when they let them play, but that's just too much. That was so bad of a call that they should have made that call.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Richard Sherman, I do the same thing 10 times out of 10 because they don't want to make the call late in the game. Seattle plays pretty physical, and it's Julio Jones. I mean, who the hell is going to out-jump Julio Jones for a football? Probably no one. But you got to make the call. He's clearly holding his right arm down, which is why Julio only went up with one arm. And the guy's such a physical freak, he almost caught the ball. Yeah. So, I mean, if that call's made, Atlanta probably wins the game. I think that probably would have put him in close to field goal range. So it's a tough call for Atlanta. I mean, Dan Quinn was freaking out on the sidelines, and rightfully so. That's the way football is, They'll probably tell you after the game, shouldn't have left it up to that one play. But, I mean, they're both two good football teams. Atlanta's defense has been playing a lot better, which I'm very impressed with. So, the 2 playoff football teams.
Yeah, we'll see if Atlanta can keep it up. Obviously, after last year's debacle. We'll see about that. It's funny, Dan Quinn on the opposing side of it, yet he was the one that kind of taught him. He was the defensive coordinator there, obviously.
Yeah. So, I mean, I said last week, wasn't sold on Atlanta, or maybe it could have been 2 weeks ago, but even though they lost, I'm sold on them.
I'm sold on them now.
Back-to-back games, Denver, Seattle, they split. Competitive as hell. I'm sold on them.
Impressive.
I'll be sold if they don't collapse. Like I need more. I don't know. Like they look good, but I need to see them not go through that stretch again where they lose like 5 in a row. I don't want to see anything like that. So yeah, we shall see. But obviously they do look legit right now. But I said the same thing last year too. So it's I don't know. It's just
a tough league.
Fair point too. Fair point.
So yeah, Seattle's number 3 for all you guys. All right, number 4 for me. I don't want to say their name, so I'll just point to them. Those motherfuckers. That's my number 4 team. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, they look good. Obviously, Ezekiel Elliott, hell of a talent. Dak Prescott's dinking and dunking his way. But he's playing really disciplined football. He's playing smart football. No, he's not better than Carson Wentz. Shut up, Dallas fans, about that shit. He's not better than him. I don't think Dak Prescott can throw a 55-yard seed to Jordan Matthews right on the money. I don't think he can do that. So, So he's not better than Dak. He's not better than Carson. But, I was saying this last week, man. Like, they're a top 5 worst defense on paper, but Rod Marinelli knows how to fucking gel his boys and, get that shit going. So he's doing a hell of a job. Dallas looking good. Let's hope they go to Romo.
My number 4 team is the Falcons. Want to touch on that. I was impressed with what they did out in Denver. Thought maybe it was a fluke. But when you go into Seattle and do what you did to Seattle, keep up with that defense, that's very impressive to me. I mean, their offense is clicking on all cylinders. They've got a good line there. They picked up a good center in Alex Mack to distribute the ball to Matty Ice. You got Julio Jones. And Mohamed Sanu, I think, is a very underrated wide receiver. I think that was a good pickup for them, too, to take a little heat off of them. But they've got 2 really solid running backs, and that defense is playing a lot better. I mean, Seattle was up in that point 17-3, and then they came back and fired back and scored like 24 straight points off of that defense. So I was pretty impressed at that. Let's see if they can keep that trend going. They did start off, I think, 5 or 7-0 last year, and then they completely plundered. So let's see if they can keep that magic going. But Dan Quinn looks like he knows what he's doing there as a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, my number 4 team's Dallas, but I'll touch on Atlanta real quick again. Those 2 running backs there, that's scary. They're 2 probably top 20 running backs in the NFL on the same team. So that gives Kyle Shanahan a lot to work with and a lot to scheme around. Also, Desmond Trufant is starting shadow receivers into the slot now too. So you got him man-to-man pretty much on your best receiver. He's a hell of a corner. So Atlanta, they're for real. But, yeah, my number 4 team is Dallas. Hate to say it, but they're legit. Dak Prescott, his pre-snap game is close to Carson Wentz's. I don't think he has the arm Wentz does. He's maybe a little more mobile, and I don't know if he's as good of a leader as Wentz. Like, I really like what I see out of Wentz in terms of leadership qualities. But Dak Prescott's a hell of an NFL quarterback. He is probably top 10, maybe top 5 potential, which is scary.
He's Russell Wilson. He's Russell Wilson, and Wentz is Andrew Luck. That's like
It's what it's looking like. And, I mean, the thing about Dallas, which is making Prescott look a lot better, is that offensive line, Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, he's got a really probably top 3 most talented running back. I'd put him behind, AP and maybe or 4, AP, Bell, and Gurley. Ezekiel's right there. That offensive line is by far the best in the league. Mm-hmm. My argument this weekend was put Wentz on Dallas, put Dak on Philly. And what do you think is going to happen? I'd say Dallas might be undefeated right now if Wentz was on their team. That's my thing with Wentz and Prescott.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with that.
Because, he's going to have all day to throw with that Dallas offensive line. And what we saw yesterday, I mean, Wentz was constantly scrambling on basically every snap. So, I mean, Prescott obviously has some wheels as well. But, I don't think he'd be able to handle it the way Carson would. So, that's that.
And Dallas's receivers without Dez might be just as good, if not better, than Phillies. So.
They're better than Phillies because Cole Beasley is better than anything the Eagles have.
No, he's awesome. Great slot receiver. Hate to say it, but he's very talented.
Jordan Matthews. So people like, dude. I remember when the Eagles got DGB, and like a bunch because I read the Twitter. I look at it, and people were arguing about Cole Beasley and DGB. I'm like, well, I'm thinking to myself, wow, Eagles fans clearly don't know how good Cole Beasley is. He's fucking quick as shit.
Yeah, he is. He can get off the line very quick.
Yeah, so really good target on 3rd down. Destroyed Malcolm Jenkins last year in the slot. So Cole Beasley, very, really underrated.
Yep, sucks, man, because he wears that star on his helmet, but, that's reality.
I keep it real. I might not be able to say their name. You know, it's kind of hard. I'm allergic to it. But I know how good they are. I respect it. Well, I don't respect them, but yeah, you know what I mean. So non-biased from me, except for say the Eagles are going to win this Sunday. But I really feel that way. We're going to win. We're going to win. It's going to happen.
Confidence.
It's going to happen. We're going to win the next 2 games, and then we're going to lose to the Giants because that's just what's going to happen.
That would be typical Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. So, all right, moving on to number 5. All right, so, you know, I had 3 teams in mind, and I'm just going to go with the one team that you guys probably aren't going to have. So I'm going Kansas City, coming off a nice win against Oakland. I know they're, 3-2, whatever. But I like that defense. I don't know. I like the Chiefs. I just kind of like them a little bit. Like I said a little bit a while ago, I had the Chiefs and Patriots meeting up in the AFC Championship game. So, I don't know. I like the Chiefs. That's it.
I can get behind that. I actually was a little torn here. I was going to put Dallas here, but I think I'm going to put Buffalo ahead of them, even though Dallas is 5-1 and Buffalo is 3-3 now. Just the way they've been 4-2.
Yeah.
Ever since they fired Greg Roman, they've been firing on all cylinders. Shady McCoy looks like he's back to his all-pro self. He's been a monster in all these games. Tyrod Taylor's been playing great, and this defense has finally been stepping up to its potential because you got a ton of talent all across the board there. You got great corners there. You got a good defensive line. So it's starting to all come together for the Ryan brothers.
Yeah, I mean, I got Atlanta as my 5th team. We talked about them, so I'll touch on both of those teams. Kansas City, their defense was struggling in the beginning of the year, but they have the talent there, obviously. Marcus Peters is if he's in the conversation for one of the best corners in the league, he should be. And, it was cool on Sunday. Terry Poe got a touchdown.
Yeah.
Gotta love that.
That was awesome.
Yeah, but, I mean, Kansas City, if they get in the playoffs, they got the talent on defense. They have a good, smart quarterback in Alex Smith. I think he's underrated, quite frankly. And Andy Reid, man, I mean, we saw him for how many years, and he's a good coach. Time management, he has his issues. He's a good coach. So Kansas City, if they get in the playoffs, could be dangerous. And Buffalo, since they fired their offensive coordinator, Shady has gone nuts, which has allowed Tyrod Taylor to look better in the passing game without Sammy Watkins. The way the defense is playing, there's no reason to think Buffalo can't continue what they're doing. I mean, obviously Sunday was against San Francisco, but they beat them, 45-16? What are you going to ask out of them? What more can you ask? So both those teams are legitimate.
Yeah, Buffalo looks really good. Yeah, my 3 teams was Kansas City, Atlanta, and Buffalo. So it was just like you guys basically. So it was like a clump of teams at number 5 for me. But the top 4 was very easy to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't easy putting.
I still think if Pittsburgh's healthy at the end of the year, they'll be there.
No, yeah. You're like
Big Ben wants one
more.
more.
Didn't lose Big Ben. I know they lost to Miami, but they'd probably still be number 5. I don't care.
And he was playing on a torn meniscus, so that game could have came out differently. But
Sure.
I mean, like I said earlier, defense is the question mark. So.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Going back to Alex Smith, I kind of agree with you. It's people look too much into the stats, and when you watch them play, they're very, very slow and methodical. So when you limit the possessions, obviously your passing yards aren't going to be as high as say a normal quarterback. So we're kind of seeing that even with Carson Wentz a little bit. You go play slow and methodical. Stats may not look great. That's why people are talking about the air yards and shit. But Andy Reid, his system, he just seems to always move the ball. It doesn't matter who he has on offense. They always move the ball. They're very efficient. So, I mean, who do they have? Except Jeremy Maclin and Travis Kelce, I guess. But
I like Spencer Ware a lot. I think he's a very good running back.
go
ahead, Adrian.
He's okay, but.
He's been pretty solid since Jamal Charles has been out. I mean, he's been averaging over 100 yards per game, so he's looked pretty impressive with his shitty line there.
A lot of those
I don't think the
I'll
line's
say
that.
Really?
They're okay. Mitch Morse is a really good center. They got who's their guard's really good. I'm blanking right now, but yeah, I don't think their line's that bad. When I covered them last year doing the play-by-play series or the play calling series, and the line always got pushed in the running game.
Yeah, it did yesterday too against Oakland.
Yeah, so I don't think they're like terrible. I mean, it's not elite.
Good. I would say Andy Reid's always had decent offensive lines. I mean, at least in my opinion. But Spencer Ware and Jamaal Charles 1-2. I think that's pretty dangerous for sure. And the thing about Alex Smith, which is what really affects his reputation, is the fact that he got drafted first overall ahead of Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
If
it's always going to be with him.
If drafted in the second or the third round, people would be talking about him like he's a hell of a quarterback. So.
All right. Let's see what else to talk about. Oh, Aaron Rodgers not looking like Aaron Rodgers. Dude, yeah. Even last year, like he didn't have that great of a year per Aaron Rodgers standards. He had a pick yesterday, which was just absolutely brutal. What the hell's going on with him?
He just looked really uncomfortable in the pocket, and it just looked like schemes were getting to him. But I think the key is none of his wide receivers can get separation, much like here in Philadelphia, the wide receivers can't get separation. So the quarterback play is going to be hurt by that, be very hindered by that. Yeah, they thought maybe since Jordy Nelson was out that this would change a little bit. You had a young kid, Devontae Adams. Randall Cobb really wasn't having his big year. He signed that big contract. But you throw those excuses out there. You have a very good line. You've got very good wide receivers. So they just can't seem to get any separation. And he's suffering because of it. It's a shame. And it doesn't look like that high-octane offense that we're so used to seeing.
Well, I'll say last year, in my opinion, Randall Cobb got exposed. I mean, he was looked at as a very good, if not like elite receiver after him and Jordy had the couple seasons where they both had really good stats. Excuse me. But Jordy's back. He's not the same Jordy, but he's still there.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm seeing out of Green Bay is they can't run the football with Eddie Lacy, who supposedly lost weight. So that is either a problem up front or a problem with the running backs. I haven't seen Starks have too much more success, so it might be an up front issue. And two, it's just predictability. I kind of think Green Bay's offense is a little predictable. I was watching this morning before work. I was watching the Mike and Mike show, and someone I respect a lot, Louis Riddick, he knows what he's talking about, and he was saying that. And he was saying he was from the NFL execs say that. So I think that's a legitimate concern is predictability in Green Bay's offense. He said a couple of times during the game, I didn't watch. I caught the second half. But Aaron Rodgers putting his hands up, looking to the sideline. So, I mean, he still completed like 70, 75% of the passes. But the thing about Rodgers that's concerning is that pass he missed to Randall Cobb in the end zone. He missed a couple other passes that normally Aaron Rodgers makes.
Yep.
It's either a mental thing, he's either screwed up because of the offensive line or something. Something's going on, man. They have all the talent in the world, and it's not clicking.
It's Olivia Munn. She's killing them.
It'll be interesting to see if they can
time in the sack.
It's got to be it. I don't know what else it could be.
Could be, man. He could be just, in love with that.
I can't blame him. Shit, man.
Can't blame him either. More power to you, bro.
Fuck, man. I want to talk about making it jiggle. All right. Panthers are 1-5. They lose again. Like, I keep telling myself, all right, they're not going to go 1-4. They're not going to go 1-5. And here they are. So you go against the Saints. The Saints' defense isn't that great. They fall behind, like, what did they fall behind? What was it, like 38 to?
It was like 38 to 21 at one point, and then they came back and fired back.
Cam leads them back, and then they lose. Wow. So who would have thought Josh Norman made that much of a difference defensively?
Apparently he did. He not only his presence, but maybe he was a leader in that backfield because they are just so exposed. This team went 15-1 last year, and there wasn't that many changes other than Josh Norman, really. And for them to be 1-5, it's terrible. And I think it's just leaving a bad taste in everybody's mouth. I think that Super Bowl hangover, it's kind of still affected them maybe. I don't know. I mean, I know that Cam's still bitter about it because you can tell with his press conferences, he's still acting like a whiny little baby. Sitting there when he loses, he pouts, but when he wins, he's sitting there and dabbing and rubbing in everybody's faces. But you're the leader of this team. You got to step up. You can't be acting like that, dude. I can't stand when he does that.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the box score, the biggest lead the Saints had was 21-3 in the second quarter, and they were up at one point 31-17. So, I mean, I watched some of the game during when the Eagles were playing. Commercial, I'd flip the red zone.
Yeah.
And that game was covered pretty heavily, and it just looks like it's the defense, man. I mean, the offense, it struggled in the beginning, but they started running the football. Jonathan Stewart had a pretty good game. They were being cautious with Cam, but he was still making his throws. The offense was moving the football. Granted, it was against the Saints. But against New Orleans defense, or against New Orleans, against Carolina's defense, you know, it's just unreal what's happened to this defense. And to think one player made that big of a difference. It's almost like I might agree with you, Kyle. It might have just been Norman's presence in the locker room, which I would have thought that might have been more like Luke Kuechly, Star Lotulelei, who was there. Like, they've been there a little longer, I think.
K'Wan Short, one of these guys.
K'Wan Short, yeah, last 3 seasons, he's been unreal. So it's crazy to see what's happening with them after the loss of one player. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. What Jared Allen, he retired this offseason. He was a Panther, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
So maybe that, too. I mean, he's a vet. He borderline Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
Agreed.
He retired, so maybe that could be something to do with it, too.
It could have a couple of a lot of the vets said they bring that leadership when their play has gone, but it could be maybe just a lack of maturity there. It's just a lot of young kids there now.
But I know for a fact Dallas's locker room, the leader is Jason Witten, and you've seen his production dip. But leadership, especially in football, it's a big deal.
It's huge.
Well, here's a problem, too. They're not really pressuring the quarterback that well. Charles Johnson is kind of out of his prime now. Your other pass rusher is Coney Ealy, I believe. Mm-hmm. And when you're starting 2 rookie cornerbacks, James Bradbury and Daryl Worley, that's a problem. So you're going to get exposed. It's the same thing here in Philly. Our cornerbacks aren't that great. And when you can't pressure the quarterback, they got exposed yesterday. Deshaun Jackson made mincemeat of Jalen Mills. So that's a huge problem. That's really what it is to me. I mean, that Brandon Cooks touchdown, how easy was that? 87 yards?
He had a monster game yesterday, 173 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he shredded them.
Yeah, unreal. I mean, that separation he got from that corner, man. Wow. How you don't give him safety help? If they did, safety wasn't in the picture.
Baffling. Sean McDermott, it's like night and day.
I guess Kirk Coleman came back down to reality.
Right. And the thing is K'Wan Short, he had double-digit sacks last year. And maybe because the DNs aren't playing as good, they're giving him more attention. But that, to me, like, where's Star Lotulelei? He was a highly touted guy coming out of the draft. Yeah. He played good his first couple of years. Like, where the hell's he at? They have 2 solid defensive tackles, and Luke Kuechly.
And they drafted Vernon Butler too, another pass rushing specialist in the D tackles. And Shaq Thompson was a high pick.
Yeah.
Another guy that can rush the passer. It's just they're not getting to the quarterback for some reason, whatever it is, and the corners are getting exposed for it.
Yep.
That's the problem. Nothing more on the list. So that's all the topics, basically. So anything else you guys want to talk about? Anything on your mind?
I was just impressed by Jay Ajayi yesterday. He had, 15, 16 totes for 202 yards? I mean, good for him. I think they finally maybe found a running back there out in Miami, and who knows. But the biggest problem, I think, with Miami is there's been no consistency with them. They've almost shut down Seattle week 1. They kept it real close. The next 3 weeks they got blown out. I think they haven't really kept it close at all, and then now you come in and do this against Pittsburgh with Ben Roethlisberger. So I don't know. I think they're in the brink of getting somewhere. They're just not like the bottom feeders that they used to be. So maybe they can give a little bit of pressure to Tom Brady. Just get those 2 divisional games and try to win those and hurt the Patriots that way.
Yeah, I mean, Miami, I think a lot of it I'm not too keen on how their offensive line's been playing, but I'm going to say I'm not too impressed with Tannehill as a number 8 overall pick.
Sucks.
I think that they're in kind of like quarterback purgatory. I really don't know if they think they have their guy. They think Ryan Tannehill's not their guy, which puts them in a tough situation. Jay Ajayi looks like he's going to keep the job from Arian Foster, and rightfully so. I mean, Arian's a hell of a back, but he's older, he's injury prone, and if Ajayi's going to produce like that, you can't take him out. I want to see more from Devontae Parker. I mean, he's a first-round pick. Jarvis Landry is a hell of a receiver, but Devontae Parker's there as a number 2. I want to see more out of him from Miami. And my only other comments are, we talked about the Patriots, but Tom Brady, wow. All I got to say is wow. The guy, I think I said it before the show, I think no quarterback's ever hit these marks. I think, what is it, over like around 700 yards and 6 TDs through his first 2 games. To say he's a chip on his shoulder, that's an understatement. He very well could win MVP playing 20 games. That's almost my bold prediction right now. Not sold 100%, but almost there.
I think I'm going to have to agree with you. I think it's a shoo-in for him to get MVP with the way he's playing. If he keeps putting numbers up like this, there's no doubt about it.
Well, that was your MVP during a preview show. It was Tom Brady. That was your pick. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, who else is it going to be right now?
Dak Prescott, as much as I hate to say it, or Zeke.
No.
I mean, Zeke will probably win Rookie of the Year, I think.
Rookie of the Year.
I mean, maybe Matt Ryan. I mean, I don't know. But
Matt Ryan through the first 6 weeks, he has to be the MVP.
If he keeps it up, and the way he pulled Atlanta out of there, he might give Tom Brady a run for the money, but it's Tom Brady. I mean, if it's between those two, I think Tom's going to get it.
Yeah.
All right.
Watch him go for 4,000 yards this year. Watch that happen. 12 games. Be unreal.
That would be incredible. But, what do you expect? No less than from Tom.
I'll say this as a closing remark. I think Houston's overrated. 4-2. Like, they seem like a fake 4-2. That's another team that Minnesota beat pretty handily. So that's like another team. I see Houston play, and I'm just like, wow, that is a boring fucking team to watch.
They locked out last night.
Not very good. They don't have J.J. Watt right now. I'm really curious to see how the AFC South plays itself out. Fucking Jaguars. I want to see the Jaguars win this division.
It was a little scary yesterday, man. They lucked out with an Aurelius Ben catch and nobody touching him and running for 51 yards. But Blake Bortles has to be smarter with the football. He turned the ball over 2 times yesterday. He had a fumble, and he threw a very stupid pick towards the red zone. So you got to see better play out of your quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, about Jacksonville, I think that they still have a shot. I picked them to beat Chicago. I thought it would be a little more by a little more than they did.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if is Luke Joeckel still playing for them because
he's hurt.
He was playing guard for them before.
I mean, like out of the 3 tackles in that draft class, Lane Johnson's the best.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought Luke Joeckel would be a hell of a player, but he hasn't really panned out.
Yeah.
I mean, with Houston, their offense is absolutely abysmal. I mean, I'm so glad as a fantasy owner and advocate of Lamar Miller before the season that he finally broke out, but it was against me. I mean, oh my gosh, Brock Osweiler, that looks like a terrible contract. With DeAndre and Will Fuller, who was limited last night, obviously, but wow, Brock looks like a terrible sign.
Good move by the Broncos.
Right? Well, someone it was a joke tweet. Like, yeah, I heard John Elway paid for the fuel for the jet plane to come get Brock from Denver. At this point, he might as well should have, man.
And here's another reason why Chip's fucking, they talk about Chip's offense hurting the defense. Houston actually ran more plays per game than Chip Kelly last year. Didn't seem to hinder their defense, did it? So I always hate it when people bring that up. I don't know. Sure, it has something to do with it. Why the defense, kind of tails off. But I think I think people make too much of a big deal about that. What do you think about that?
I think they do too. Although I think the defense was on the field way too much before. I think they never really got a reprieve or a rest, and I think it's shown a little bit more this year with well-rested players. You can play a little bit better defense. I was never a fan of Chip Kelly. Yeah, he was an offensive guru, but he was kind of stagnant. He kind of did the same thing. He didn't really adjust when people started to figure him out. But I was not all about the defense being out there for that long. I mean, you're going to get shredded. You can't have that.
Yeah,
Didn't happen in Houston, though.
To be completely honest, man, I mean, like we talked about earlier, I played O-line for 12 years, playing 3 years of varsity football, dude. When we would put together like a 10-minute drive, take up a whole quarter, score a touchdown, just pounding the football, it felt good, and it would tire the opponent out. Yeah, that's high school. The NFL's different. These are world-class athletes. But when your defense is on the field that long, they're going to get tired. And when your offense puts together drives like the Eagles' offense has been doing in the first couple weeks – that gives them confidence while keeping your defense off the field. So with everything in football and in life, I think it's a comfy balance. I mean, you can have your defense on there for a decent amount, maybe more than average. But the way Chip Kelly was running it, I just think it was overkill, man. So I think there's got to be balance there. That's why I like what I see out of the Eagles this year. They really control the game.
To an extent, but I just think it was overblown because it. Nobody was complaining the first year when they went 10-6 and won the division. The defense was fine, and then all of a sudden when they started losing, that's when people started.
We got to harp on something, so.
Yeah, that's the way Philly fans are. They're going to jump down and they're going to harp on any fact there is. And when you have an opportunistic defense like Chip Kelly had in the first couple of years, I think year 1 and 2 probably mostly, that's going to be fine. Like that's fine. You force turnovers, you score points on special teams. That saves you there. But in the long run, I just think keeping your offense on the field and your defense off the field leads to winning more so than not.
Yeah. Well, he's in an unfortunate situation right now in San Francisco. He's
tank for Deshaun Watson.
I love it.
Yeah. Hopefully
they won't beat out Cleveland for that. Cleveland's got that in the bag.
Well, that means
Cleveland will fuck it up. They'll take Deshaun Kaiser.
Yeah, they'll take Notre Dame's quarterback. You're right. Yeah. That's what Cleveland will do.
Since when did Deshaun Kaiser become Joe Montana? What the fuck?
Mm-hmm. And it's like I watched the game on Saturday. I don't know what everybody's seeing in this game.
I don't get it. It's the same thing I saw with Jared Goff last year. I just didn't get it. I didn't understand.
It's like Jake Locker almost, too. Like, oh, he's a big quarterback. He can run. He has a big arm. But, like, okay, where's the mental game? Deshaun Kaiser should be leading his team to wins if he's the best quarterback in this draft class.
Mm-hmm. Deshaun Watson's the best. He's having a little, he's struggling this year a little bit, but he's the best quarterback in this class. So I'm curious to see how Lamar Jackson does, though. Lamar Jackson is the truth.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome, too. We're going to have to watch and see what he does with Louisville, and if he's eligible this year, which I think he is.
I don't know if he is or not. I don't know. Let me see.
Well, when Michael Vick says that he's Lamar Jackson's 5 times better than him in college, you got to pay attention.
Yeah, you got to really,
he's Michael Vick.
Yeah, the guy's unreal. And imagine, that Louisville-Clemson game went down to the wire.
Yeah, it did. Two awesome quarterbacks battling for the Heisman. Could be potential, 1-2 if he is eligible. I think he's a red shirt sophomore.
So that would mean he is eligible.
He is eligible.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he's redshirted.
I see sophomore. I don't know if he's redshirt.
I say so. Maybe he's not.
I mean, with as much as he knows, man, you don't want to see him get hurt,
I'll just type in Lamar Jackson draft eligible. We should probably end the show. We've been going on for a while. Yeah. I don't know if he is or not. Whatever. Fuck it. Doesn't matter. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll end this now. We gave our final thoughts. We gave all that. So, unless there's one more thing you guys want to say.
I got everything out. I'm ready for this game. It's about to happen. Watch some Cardinals and Jets.
Carson Palmer's back, man. Should be a good game. And go Birds, man. They're winning on Sunday.
They are. Yeah, they are. Booyah. At least Chip Kelly knew how to use Brett Selleck. We're out. Peace.
See you guys.